Well, good afternoon, folks. Welcome to Bengaluru. We are in day 3 of the Fiba Women's Asia Cup, and we're going to start things off with a game between New Zealand and the Philippines. Well, here is the lineup for today. New Zealand taking on the Philippines, Australia, China, Japan, Korea, and Chinese Taipei, and India. Here are the standings in Group B. You can see this is a battle of 0-2 teams, so the winner will advance to the qualifications for the semifinals, and the loser will play the classification game for the 7th and 8th. And that's hugely important, of course. Little young ones here. I'm not sure which one is which, but the daughters of Kritiana and Taylor. Little Charlie, and I think it's Kaliana. And hopefully they'll wake up in time. Well, at least one of them will be awake, I think. But anyway, those are perhaps future tall ferns, I would imagine. And they have watched their team play some good basketball here, but not good enough to get wins against, you have to say, 2 teams that are among the elite in international basketball, Australia, as well as a very good China team. So I'm Jeff Taylor, joined by Mark Mills. And Mark, it's very simple. I mean, it's do or die for these 2 teams today if they want to get to the semifinals.
Yeah, absolutely. The loser of this game will obviously go into that game to avoid relegation out of Division A, whereas the winner will go to potentially play the 2nd place from Group A, which will either be Japan or Korea. So yeah, it's kind of the winner of this, everything stays alive for them. The loser, they're fighting for their Division 1 life.
So the Philippines, like New Zealand, have also had some good moments in this tournament, but they're both teams really plagued with an inability to play their best for over 40 minutes. And you know, I don't think anybody in that New Zealand team is taking this Filipino team lightly, having seen them put together some good spells of play in their opening 2 games against Australia and China. But clearly New Zealand, you would think, would be favorites coming into this one. But it is perhaps it's a really tricky game, Mark.
Yeah, I think for me this is all about who actually gets their offense firing. Neither of these teams have really performed well on the offensive end. Philippines bizarrely have scored 57 points in both their games. Their shooting percentages aren't great, and the one that's really terrifying is when they do manage to get to the line, they're only shooting 48%.
So the Filipino coaches, Patrick Aquino and his staff, looking on, and now we get a look at the tall ferns. And you know, it's really interesting in New Zealand. They came out, and in the first half, I think Guy Malloy had them prepared very well. They came out and played great defense. And against China, really, you would have thought they would have gone to halftime with the lead, but a couple of late 3-pointers by China, kind of against the run of play, put them in front. And then China really came out strong after some easy misses by the tall ferns in that 3rd quarter, and just kind of made life very difficult for them. Probably the first quarter and a half, 15 minutes against Australia, this New Zealand team gave as good as they got against Australia, and just wasn't quite enough. Australia, their class really told, and they wore them down for the rest of the game. So we are going to have a pause in the commentary now for the playing of the national anthems.
Ladies and gentlemen, please stand up for the national anthems. We start with the national anthem of Team Philippines. please remain standing for the national anthem of Team New Zealand.
Kratiana, I wonder what that was like looking up at the big TV screen, seeing her daughter up there.
Well, I think you saw the reaction. When they went back to Kratiana, she actually had a little bit of tears in her eyes, I think. Quite an emotional moment.
So the referees, Yuen Chun Kip from Hong Kong, Rakesh Ramleganage, and Chung Yi Chi from Chinese Taipei. So also an Indian referee today. And we'll get a look at the rosters for this contest, as well as the starting fives.
Yeah, the rosters for the Philippines, we've seen some standout players, and it's still really the duo of Bernardini Miranda, combining for almost 23 points and 7 rebounds between the two of them, that are going to be so important for them today to really rank up the scoring.
Starting five: Bernardino, Cabin Ben, Pontejos, Animam, and Hayes for Philippines. Bernardino has been very impressive in the first couple of games, especially. Pontejos came to life a little bit yesterday. Miranda was certainly great on day one, but anonymous on day two. And for New Zealand, we can look at their roster.
And again, for me, I think New Zealand slightly have more depth than the Philippines do, which they'll be able to call on. But Cox is going to be important. She's averaged 10 points a game. Only New Zealand player to actually have double-digit scoring. But Davidson did well in that second game, averaging 5 rebounds. The one for me is, are they going to use Futu today? She seemed that she was injured for the first 2 games and maybe back in for this one.
Well, they're going to start with Cox, Kalani Purcell, and her older sister, Natalie Taylor, Shavana Palvost, and Ashley Kratiana, who was probably the best player for New Zealand yesterday. Really gave a tremendous inspirational effort for Guy Malloy's team. Probably the one question mark we had, really, was maybe why she didn't come into the game earlier in the second half, but I'm sure Coach Malloy knows his team better than we do.
Yeah, I think for New Zealand, the key is they've just got to get the offense firing. You know, they've only scored 44 points in both their first 2 games, and 44 points, it's going to be rare that wins you a game at the Asia Cup.
Well, I'm sure this is a game that the Philippines are looking at it like it's a huge opportunity for them to take a step forward in international basketball, going up against the 0-2 Tall Ferns. And if they can come out and get a good start, who knows, anything is possible. Patrick Henry Aquino, I think he's probably realistic about what they can achieve here, but I'm sure he firmly believes they can come out and win this game. Same for the Tall Ferns. I think Coach Guy Malloy, again, has really had them prepared for each game. We spoke yesterday, and he talked about just the need to get these players together more frequently. Of course, he will actually coach 4 of the players with the Melbourne Boomers in the WNBL. So at least they'll have some continuity playing in that situation.
Yeah, I think both these teams will have looked at the fixture list before the tournament started and said, well, this is the must-win. This is our critical game. This is really where there's no more excuses, there's no time for mistakes. This is when both teams are going to have to put in their best performance of the tournament so far.
Well, this early afternoon in Bengaluru, India, and this is now a battle for third place. A crucial game here in the Fiba Women's Asia Cup in the group game in an attempt to get to the qualifications for the semifinals. Tatiana, this is her shot. New Zealand with another chance. Tatiana, the former Hawaii star, puts it up and in, and picks up where she left off yesterday. Bernardino. And now Tatiana. Natalie Taylor was taking those jumpers in practice. She misses that, and got a Filipino player down, in fact.
Yeah, I'm surprised we didn't see the game stopped earlier. Either that, usually it seems like a football analogy, but putting the ball out from New Zealand would have been the right thing to do. Cabin Bin hit the deck really hard and didn't move. You know, she caught a shoulder from Palvas, there we see, and she hasn't moved since she hit the deck, so hopefully it's nothing too serious.
Must have been an awkward contact there.
Yeah, maybe just winded or something, just struggling to catch her breath. Can be quite panicky if you get winded really badly.
Thing is, I thought she hit her up high. But it was clearly a nasty collision for Cabin Bin, who seems woozy. Hopefully she hasn't broke anything. That could happen if you could get kind of lightheaded, and
yeah,
it doesn't look good though, does it?
No, it doesn't. She's hobbling off, and that's never a good sight. And for Philippines, with less than a minute gone, it's a really bad sight.
Here it is again. Look at this. And Palvas kind of got her with the left shoulder. Maybe she did get her in the midsection. So that would explain the being winded, but she looked kind of woozy anyway. We restart things. Hanimam chases back to get the basketball. And they've reset. Why have they reset the shot clock?
I don't know why they reset the shot clock, unless they're saying that was a change of possession. They're saying the steal actually happened and New Zealand had possession, which I find hard to believe, because having possession is being in control of the ball, and it didn't look like New Zealand were.
Yeah. So anyway, they've still got possession, and Tejos gets it off to Hanimam, and then Hayes puts up a shot and gets a foul.
And I think it's really important for Hayes to get going early. She really struggled yesterday, and she tried that obvious thing that everyone would do, but she tried to force it and almost, you know, break the bad cycle that she was in, when really she should have tried to let the game come to her. Because when she did, she had, you know, a couple of baskets really quickly. She became really influential on the offensive end. Then it started going wrong again, and she started forcing it again. So hopefully for the Philippines and for Kelly Hayes, things go a bit smoother today for her.
Well, two apiece. Cox back outside to Purcell. Tatiana. And Hayes with the rebound now. Up it goes to Tejos, but she just loses the ball, but it falls to Hayes. And now another foul called on Cox.
Yeah, that's her second. That is a big, big concern for Coach Malloy now. That's going to be really concerning, because Cox has been really influential, the only New Zealand player to be in double-digit scoring this tournament.
Well, you can see Cabin saying that she got a forearm, and that was the problem. I think that was a good call. Looked like Cox got her on the arm. Bernardino dribbles left. And, oh my goodness. It looked like she shot that ball from the other side of the backboard.
Yeah, not the easiest of angles to get yourself a score from, and the Philippines will need to work harder to get better opportunities than that.
Voss turns, and a block called. It's on Tonko. Look at that, she did. She shot it from behind the backboard. So, well, I'm pretty sure that wasn't the play design. But anyway, Cox. Over to Taylor. And shot clock sounds. Anyway, Philippines have possession. Pontejos dribbles in and drives and scores.
And I like what Pontejos does for the Philippines. She gives them some urgency and some direction in the offensive end. Just sometimes she gets a little bit caught up with the ball and not enough heads up.
What I find more interesting is that the Philippines seem to be attacking the basket more. Well, here's Cristiana getting it down low, surrounded. Purcell there to clean up the mess. Bernardino. And Purcell with the rebound. Long pass up to Cox. Cox penetrates into the lane. That's better.
And that's what we were expecting of Cox, and she's going to need to take that mantle. She's going to have to be the spearhead of New Zealand's offense today. They need someone to really take control of the game.
Bernardino again. Well, Philippines getting some good looks down low. So good job for them.
And that's Cox's third.
Wow.
That is a huge play and such a silly mistake from such a veteran player. She does push her hands into the back. She realizes as she's doing it, what am I doing? And takes her hands away.
Well, that's going to create an opportunity for Stella Beck to come into the game, and frustrating start for Cox, but again, looked like it was a good call.
And Beck's not a bad replacement, you know, 5 points a game, 2.5 rebounds. She brings a ton of hustle with her as well. She definitely doesn't step back from the challenge.
Good denial defense from Paul Vost, and she's going to go in for the layup. Much better. Philippines can't afford to turn the ball over. Tonko. And then Pontejos' shot blocked by Natalie Taylor. She gets it back, and then Taylor steals it. Good defensive sequence there from Taylor. Now Stella Beck, who had her birthday yesterday. Belated happy birthday. Rebound, Anamam rather. Nice spin move from Bernardino. She's got the moves, doesn't she?
Yeah, she really does as well. You know, she's willing to go to the basket. She's not necessarily the strongest or the tallest, but she certainly has a big heart and a lot of hustle. And you know, she has a very wily way of getting to the basket as well.
Here's Beck, 24 years of age, over to Taylor. New Zealand really seemed to live by that three-point shot a lot, and haven't really been that successful with it. Here's Beck.
No, 19% from outside so far in the tournament.
Paul Vost. So 8-8 early on, and certainly the early evidence suggests this is going to be a tight game. Bernardino dribbles, gets in the paint, puts it up, and again, Philippines getting good looks down low, and now Purcell almost has the ball stolen. Right down it to Paul Vost. They ought to hustle as Bernardino is slow to get back down the court, but Taylor's going to launch a three and make it. Well, guess she put me in my place. Drilling the three-pointer, giving New Zealand an 11-8 lead.
And for me, if New Zealand can start scoring from the outside, this is going to be a really difficult game for the Philippines, because what that means is that they're going to have to chase out shooters, which will mean that New Zealand bigs have an awful lot more space to work in.
Now we got some substitutions coming in. Farnworth and Davidson coming in for Ashley Cristiana, and Paul Vost also exits the court. And wholesale substitutions for the Philippines. Miranda, Chan, Jose. Tonko stays in, and also Castillo. And Miranda goes back to day one form, banking one in.
Yeah, she certainly had a quiet day yesterday, so she'll be glad to know that she hasn't completely lost her touch. And again, for the Philippines, that Miranda-Bernardino combination is going to be really important.
Taylor open, says, why not? And Farnworth, nobody boxes her out, and a foul called. Farnworth will be thinking that she should have made that. Watch this.
Certainly a makeable shot for someone like Farnworth, but Miranda is going to be important. She can't be quite like she was yesterday. Both herself and Bernardino are going to carry an awful lot of the offensive weight, alongside maybe the likes of Pontejas.
Farnworth misses the first, and again, you know, these are areas where New Zealand need to be good if they're going to have any progress in this tournament. She makes one of two.
And it's the one area probably offensively that they have been good so far, shooting 88% before today's game. So, you know, it's not where you want to send New Zealand, really.
Castillo hands it off to Miranda. Miranda shaking and baking, gets inside, and will go to the line for potential three-point play.
Smart move by Miranda, and just tough defense. You know, Taylor's always trying to hustle and trying to get the strip out, but yeah, great play by Miranda.
I mean, the Philippines are getting better shots in this game, and this is more out of the one-and-one game.
Yeah,
but they're getting shots like 5 feet and in.
But the reason they're getting shots like 5 feet and in, I kind of banged on about it yesterday, but Philippines are playing a zone defense at times, and it's causing a block up the paint and saying to New Zealand, look, we know you're not shooting well, you're going to have to outshoot us. Whereas New Zealand are still matching up man to man, and the Philippines, you know, offensively are very quick players.
Palvas comes back into the game. And Taylor takes a seat, catch a breather. Farnworth is trapped, passes it back out, and Palvas has to hurry. She does at the line, and nobody boxes out Davidson, but then she misses the layup. Well, I would have put money on Davidson making it. She's been pretty good down low.
Yeah, wide open as well. Those kind of mistakes could cost New Zealand.
Tabin Ben's back in the game, so that's a good sign for the Philippines. Here she is, she's got the ball, passes it back outside to Chan. And now Miranda goes in and may have the shot, gave it to Jose, and now Miranda misses. New Zealand, that was a lucky escape for them.
Yeah, it certainly was. Another one.
Here's Palvas. Stella Beck goes baseline, back outside to Palvas, inside to Davidson. Purcell's going to put it up from deep. And good hustle from Stella Beck. Palvas got across midcourt just in time.
Yeah, she'd already come back to play defense, but yeah, hustled across the half-court line.
4 on the shot clock. New Zealand going really deep. And again, they're going to put it up from deep. And really, you have to wonder about the shot selection, you know, the opportunities that New Zealand are getting. Castillo, and good steal from Beck. Now 3-on-1 break. Beck dumps it off. Good execution. Farnworth lays it up and in.
Yeah, great timing from Beck as well. You always teach everyone, wait for the defender to commit to you. There's no advantage if you don't drag the defender to you before you release the ball.
Good block that time. And Chan hustling. Oh, and great job. Good work for both players.
Yeah, Farnworth sacrificing the body for that, but a nice steal from Beck, yeah.
Yep. And then Beck laid the ball off for the assist. This is Chan hustling.
And the one thing we haven't missed in this Asia Cup is commitment. Every single player, a huge amount of commitment.
I'm not sure who they gave the ball to there, but we've got a timeout. Chan's reaction was that they'd given it to New Zealand. So 14-13, the Tall Ferns on top. And we'll go down to the Philippines bench and listen in to Coach Aquino.
Tingin, Jem.
Ikaw, Janine, Gemma, Kelly, Jack, okay? Listen. Doon ka muna, umakit ka doon, ha? Umakit ka doon. After you try to get that ball, immediately
get 2 dribbles, spin it into a shot. Come really early. Now, just make sure if we're 4 against his zone, we'll give the high-lower look from the 1 man, 4 into the 1, and then 5 diving in. If we don't get that, and we cut the 4 man off, and this pass goes into here, the 5 man flashes up, right? Then.
Well, you see Miranda with the 5 points. Again, she can be a problem for this New Zealand team. She's shown it already, and especially in this type of situation, and the man facing the man-to-man defense, well, she sees an opportunity to get past Taylor there.
And the thing you have as well is she's proven that she can score against the best teams in the tournament. 17 points against Australia in game day 1. She's a real threat against any team.
Bernardino gets it over to Pontejos. That's a wild shot, but she still makes it.
Wow, that was a real circus shot. She's very lucky to get away with that one.
Davidson gets it to Beck. Now she's got it down low. She's double teamed. Bernardino. Ratiana puts it up with the hand in her face. Pontejos with the rebound. And just 5 seconds left. Hayes puts up kind of a crazy shot right at the end of the quarter, but Philippines, I think, will be happy with that effort. They lead it 15-14 at the end of 1. Their confidence sure to grow after that opening 10 minutes. Again, Pontejos, as you say, a circus shot, but that's actually her game. I mean, she will not
she's
shy away
such an
from
awkward
making,
player.
Yeah,
Such an awkward player, you know, and that's why it's so difficult to defend. She's not that textbook player.
15-14, the Philippines on top of New Zealand at the end of 1.
There's your shooting stats, and it shows all you need to know about the Philippines. They've not even tried to shoot the ball from outside. They have struggled in this tournament, but 6 from 16 inside is, you know, impressive for them. Whereas you look at New Zealand shooting, they've been forced. This isn't out of choice. They're 1 from 13 from outside, 8% from the perimeter to start this game. They've shot more 3-pointers, almost twice as many as they have shot inside the arc. It's, you know, this is what they need to be doing. They need to be getting to the basket. They need to be taking higher percentage opportunities. They have the ability in the team to do it. What they need is the offensive structure to do it. At the moment, with the Philippines sitting in the zone defense, it's easy for them if New Zealand continue to play the balanced offense. But for the Philippines, like you say, they'll be reasonably content. I think the only concern, if I'm Coach Aquino, is that my team have played reasonably well in this first quarter, and New Zealand really haven't played that well, and we're only leading by a point. When you have the advantage and kind of the momentum and control of the game, that's when you need to open up your leads, because you know at some point New Zealand are going to have that golden period in the game, and they're going to, you know, pour some points in and have their own run. What you need to make sure is that you're far enough away that it doesn't hurt you.
Pontejos with that last basket went to 4 points. She's also got 4 rebounds. And as a reminder, this is a battle of 0-2 teams in Group B, so the winner will advance for the qualification to the semifinals. The loser will play the classification game and try to survive in Division A. So the stakes are high, and a trip has been called here on Farnworth.
And the stakes couldn't be more contrasting, do you know what I mean? You lose this and you're at the depths of despair because you could potentially plummet out of Division A, or you win it and you could be 1 game away from the Final Four. It's so polar opposite, and so much on the line.
Hayes inbounds the ball to Bernardino.
And I like this from New Zealand. They've dropped into a 2-3 zone as well.
Gavin Ben tried to get it into Bernardino, who ran the baseline, and New Zealand reacted, I think. Was it Beck? I'm not sure who got a hand on that and knocked it out of bounds.
It's much better, though. There's so many more hands in the passing lane. When the Philippines are trying to pass inside, there's going to be hands everywhere to intercept the ball now.
And they end up getting it to Animam. And Animam denied. Did she not get it off in time and hit the rim?
I don't think it touched the ring. I think that's the key. She got the shot away in time. I just don't think it got up to the ring.
Kino. Keen to see this continue. This pesky Philippines team doing a good job against the Tall Ferns. Anina Davidson, quick pass to Cristiano, who scores with a little reverse layup. Good pass by Davidson.
Yeah, and wonderful positioning from Cristiano. She'd gone behind the defense, and no one was seeing her, no one was calling her out. A lack of talking on the Philippines end.
Cabin Ben fakes the pass, goes in. Unlucky for her, and now Beck. And now they have numbers, New Zealand, if they want to, but Philippines get back. Beck drifts in. Sloppy pass by Beck. Good defense, but then Cristiano gets it back. And then they find Farnworth. Oh, excellent play by Cristiano. Just does the little things.
Yeah, and it's what she's been doing all tournament. She really showed out in game day too that, you know, the heart and hustle that she's got, and it made a difference for New Zealand, and it's doing the same again today.
Pontejos for three. That's her. Knots it at 18. She's showing signs of her 2017 form today. She really put the ball in the basket in that tournament that was staged in this very arena. Davidson goes in, contact, and they called a charge?
I think a pushing on the Philippines.
Yeah, I was looking at Davidson's reaction. She didn't seem too happy with the call. Oh no, they've called it on Pontejos, haven't they?
Yeah.
Okay. That's why Davidson was unhappy that she didn't get a call. But anyway, that was the fortuitous play, albeit good effort by Cristiano to set up that layup. So in the 2-3 zone, they were able to beat it when they brought Davidson up to the high post, and she made that pass down low. Now Farnworth went up, looks for the foul. And again, Philippines being very awkward defensively for New Zealand. Pass into the corner, and fortunately for the Philippines, the ball went off of Cristiano.
I don't understand why New Zealand, they're still playing a really balanced offense. And like you said, they've got Davidson down in the low post. You saw there in the replay exactly what happens when she comes to that high post. You're dragging that center, that safety element of the zone defense out of place and enabling your team to make those decisive cuts.
Pontejos gets it to Animam. Miranda over to Pontejos again. That's too long. And Cristiano, who gave birth to a little Caliana just 4 months ago, is out here playing. It's an incredible story, really. Natalie Taylor was, I think, 6 months. The little Charlie. Here's Paul Vost. Puts it up from deep. And that puts the Tall Ferns back up by 3. Here's Pontejos. The game getting crazy. She likes it, but misses the shot. Farnworth now. New Zealand can run. Pontejos hustles back, and then Farnworth loses the ball, and it triggers a break for the Philippines. And Miranda goes up, and that's a 4-point swing.
And with the game opening up, you have a feeling this is going to, you know, be much better for the Philippines. They'd much rather run a free-flowing game and, you know, than a stagnant half-court game. But yeah, it's not what New Zealand want.
So the sister combo of Purcell and Taylor come back in. And as you look, also Leisure Walker is going to inbound the ball to Tessa Boagni, who's the half-sister of Paul Voss. I mean, it really is a family affair, isn't it, for this Tall Ferns team?
Yeah, absolutely.
Leisure Walker gets it inside to Boagni. And immediately after coming into the game, she earns a trip to the free throw line. good things seem to happen for New Zealand when they do get the ball down low.
I think the thing you've got is it's at least making the Filipino defense change and move and, you know, contract into the key to try and help down low. They know they have an issue with regards to guarding size. They've had it all tournament, and Boagni is another example of what they're going to struggle against. So at least getting the ball into the post, even if it's just almost a tap pass to push it straight back out, it's making the Philippines defense contract and opening things up a bit more for New Zealand.
Boagni makes the second. Daz checks into the game now, number 4. Bounce pass to Hayes, and that's much more like it for Hayes. Being right there in the paint. Philippines chasing on defense right now. Left pass, corralled by Taylor. Quick pass now to Leisure Walker, much better for New Zealand. Get it over to Paul Voss, it's a 3. And good effort by Boagni to keep the ball in the hands of the Tall Ferns. Taylor launches it from deep. That was short. And they follow it up. And a foul called on Animam.
Yeah, much better from New Zealand. Much, much better. They're moving the ball nice and quickly. They're making the Filipino, you know, defense have to move and contort, and that's why they're getting opening passing lanes. That's why they're getting the options. I'd love to see, instead of the big, so Boagni coming up and setting a screen on the inside of the top defender, I'd love to see one sit on the outside and a little pick and roll for the big and the driving guard.
Good effort for Boagni coming in. Leisure Walker at the line. It's incredible to think, really, that in 2004 her mom was playing for New Zealand at the Olympics, isn't it?
Crazy, right?
Whips it over to Purcell, and Natalie Purcell misses, but there's Paul Voss, and then Paul Voss, I'm not sure what happened there, but she turned it over. Miranda on the break, gets it to Animam, and they get a layup. Boy, all game long, the Philippines are just getting great shots.
Yeah, they really are. They're working hard. Animam, again, she did all the hard work. She sealed out her defender and opened up the easy shot.
Now the pass to Boagni, much better.
And it feels like the game's come to life a little bit. Both teams starting to find a bit more confidence on the offensive end. They struggled in the first 5 minutes of this quarter, and it seems to be lighting up a bit.
Hayes, guarded by Purcell. And Purcell got some help defense there, because Hayes went past her. Watch this. And she takes a swipe at the ball. And Boagni does a great job at catching the ball, keeping the ball up high, and then going in.
Yeah, we talked about it yesterday. It's almost a criminal offense if you're a big to bring the ball down. You don't need to.
Oh. Leisure Walker forces the turnover. Here she is on the break. What's she going to do? Give it over to Paul Voss.
That's the smart move. It's a smart move.
Boagni at the stripe. Boy, she has been really tough.
Yeah, Boagni's certainly come to play. That's up to 6 points from her, and she's yet to miss a field goal. So, once again, she's playing an influential role.
Leisure Walker steps in front of Daz. Good defense from her. Now Bernardino. She gets it to Hayes. Hayes puts it up and drills a long 2. Foot was on the line. Good pass, Paul Voss to Boagni, but Bernardino gets the rejection.
Yeah, great tracking from Bernardino. Obviously, a massive size difference between herself and Boagni, but it was all about timing and control. She did a great job.
Well, New Zealand get a timeout, leading at 28-26 over the Philippines. Here in the second quarter. 3:59 remaining.
Playing good D in stretches, we just lose concentration, and they're just hitting enough shots to stay with us. We've got to concentrate through the possession. Hands up on the shot, head snap on the backdoor cut so they don't get behind us, right? We've got to stick at that. Now, we've got to put our foot down hard here for 4 minutes. The defensive concentration's got to be really good. Now, however they set up, we're running the same play here. It's our zone out. Right, got it? So 1, 2, over there. And this guy at the top. Right, and I want this guy coming.
Go, guys, go, guys, go, guys! Let's go! Ready on 3, 1, 2, 3! Get in there!
Go blue, let's go blue.
Well, we heard Coach Malloy, as you look at Pontejo sits down, we heard Coach Malloy talk about his team needing to maintain that concentration and not allowing the Philippines to sneak behind him and get those easy shots.
Yeah, he said important 4 minutes now, and he's really right. You know, leading into this halftime break, if one of these teams can pull away slightly, get near a double-digit lead, that could be really, you know, pivotal in the outcome of this game. But he's, you know, the way he's positioning it is spot on. It's all about defense now. If New Zealand can get their defense right, it will spur the offensive end. The offense will take care of itself.
Taylor to Boagni, short, good hands by Jose, getting the hand up, and now the pass intercepted by Paul Vost. Quick pass in, Leisure Walker rims out, but there's Boagni for the follow, and I think she kind of rushed it. She got her feet set, she could have made that shot. Here's Miranda. Pulls up at the stripe, and that is a shot that Miranda needs to make. They would certainly settle for that one. Purcell passes to Boagni. I think they've got the formula, don't they?
Yeah, it's that wing ball, so the ball coming in from the side and the high post slashing down is causing the problems. It's the stagnant post player that isn't.
But Daz sees an opportunity. He goes right past Leisure Walker, I think, but missed the layup. Oh, good steal from Bernardino. Sloppy play by the Tall Ferns. And another 2 points off the New Zealand turnover. High post, she looks low, goes back outside to Taylor. That's good. The second three-pointer of the game, Natalie Taylor.
And how much impact has Boagni had on this game? She seems to have changed everything offensively for New Zealand just by offering a passing big, someone that can go to the high post and distribute.
Bernardino, meanwhile, gets in. Well, looked like she'd done the hard work and then missed the layup. Leisure Walker. Boagni says, well, I can do this as well, and drills the three. Boy, she has been a spark off the bench today.
Yeah, unbelievable. Up to 11 points now, and it's almost more than what the box score is telling you. She's coming in, really changed New Zealand offensively.
Biggest lead of the game now for the Tall Ferns, up 8. Bernardino. Jose gets the rebound and gets blocked by Boagni.
Second block of the game for Boagni as well.
Philippines have, missed some opportunities, but that was probably not a great one. And this is Boagni right after Taylor's three, and it just shows if you can drill the three-pointer, you can put points on the board in a hurry.
Yeah, you can, and this has been one of the biggest weaknesses in New Zealand in the tournament. They've struggled from deep, but maybe today's the day they start to find their form from outside.
Well, we'll go down to the bench and listen to Coach Malloy.
We go to the 2 here now. Right? We have to keep the defensive pressure. Right? So, Marge, what is it? 8. We've got to extend to 8 from here. No worse than 8. We're not trading from here. Now, offensively, guys, we go to a power 4. So with a 5-man to be there. 1, 3.
All right. Out jump ulit para dito naman tayo kita. Ulit. Janine inbounding, Jack, April, palit, Jack, give it to, repeat, go, tira. Okay, let's go.
When we talk about the three-point shot for New Zealand, and again, Tessa Boagni with 11 points, 2 rebounds. They're still only shooting 20% in this game, 4 of 20, but they have hit back-to-back
Yeah, and this Boagni's really been a key to that as well, because she's going to stretch the floor now as we see a 3. But yeah, I think it's just more the kind of primacy effect of it. They've started shooting well in the last few minutes of the second quarter of this game, so we're starting to see a little bit of form. What we're also seeing though is that they're getting open shots, and they haven't really seen that in the first 2 games.
Well, she looked like Pontejos almost inbounded the ball to herself. The shot attempt goes off the backboard. Cratiana comes back into the game. Boagni takes a seat. And Davison also in as well.
And this 2-2-1 press from the Philippines hasn't seemed to work at the moment. New Zealand break it pretty easily.
Kelly Hayes back in for Philippines. Beck also has returned for New Zealand. And the pass to the high post, just a little bit out of reach, and Cabibin takes advantage. Nope. Misses the shot. Hayes puts it up. And New Zealand go unpunished for that turnover.
I'm not sure I'd have taken Boagni out of the game. She's only got to play another 90 seconds before she gets a 15-minute rest. I'd have kept her on for those 90 seconds.
With a quick pass to Beck. She's surrounded, and she turns it over. Cabinbin 2-on-1. Hands it off to Hayes, and she's fouled. Fouled by the trailing Davidson.
New Zealand just need to be patient on the offensive end. They just looked a little bit too frantic, and the 2 bigs, when you're playing 2 in like New Zealand are now, they have to work really well together. There can't be any miscommunications. There can't be any misunderstandings. They have to know, well, who's high, who's low. You have to space out so much when you're playing that kind of offense. It's so important. If you become too close, then it just becomes a nightmare to get anything going.
Beck. Goes past Pontejos, gets it through Cratiana. The 3 is good. Well, 3-point percentage goes up a little bit. 5 of 21 now. Final 15 seconds, they're going to hold it for 1. Oh, Bernardino dribbled it off her foot and almost turns it over. Cabibin gets it. They get it to Pontejos. She steps behind the arc. Oh, she kills the Tall Ferns right at the end. And I tell you, that was out of a mad scramble. Philippines did very well there because they almost turned it over. Look at this. New Zealand, Pulvas had her hands on the ball but couldn't hold it. And then Pontejos does what Pontejos does.
Yeah, great vision from Cabinbin. Really eyes open to see the corner shooter from Pontejos. And yeah, that's a bit of a vibe killer for New Zealand. They were going in really hyped up. They played a great second sort of 5 minutes of that second quarter, but now a little bit tougher for them.
New Zealand lead at halftime, 39-32.
And there's your shooting stats. Much better shooting stats for both teams than they've had all tournament so far. Obviously, New Zealand starting to light it up from the outside. Philippines not taking many shots from the outside, only 2 from 5. They're looking to go to the basket to get to their points. Rebounding battles reasonably even. New Zealand, though, with 12 offensive rebounds is the one that really steps out for you on that one. And the Philippines, they are undersized, but they're going to need to lock down their own boards a little bit better. Neither team will be too upset with the turnover situation. It's not too high for them. And the game sits nicely in the balance.
The Philippines were actually out-rebounding New Zealand in that first quarter. And that was one major cause for concern for New Zealand. But they seem to have figured out how they want to play against the 2-3 zone. And they just have to make better decisions. As you said, they've been in a rush a couple of times. But for the Philippines, I mean, that was a crucial shot, crucial sequence right at the end. Instead of going to halftime down 10, you go down by 7 because Pontejos, out of the chaos, is able to knock down the 3-pointer from the corner. So we're at the break in the battle of 0-2 teams. The winner will go to the qualification for the semifinals. For the FIBA Women's Asia Cup, and the loser will go into the battle for 7th place and survival. We'll be right back before the start of the second half. Janine Pontejos with 10 points and 4 rebounds for the Philippines, who have been pretty good today. They led at the end of the first quarter against New Zealand, but at halftime they trailed 39-32. Certainly, as we talked about at halftime, Mark, this opening 2 to 5 minutes is going to be crucial for both teams. I mean, New Zealand can really come out and lay the wood to the Philippines and maybe almost put it away, but the Philippines can make things interesting. New Zealand, what an inspirational effort from Tessa Boagni, coming off the bench, 11 points and 2 rebounds.
Yeah, the one thing you feel, Tessa Boagni's had a perfect game so far, pretty much, and you hope they'd lean on her and play her harder in the rotation than they have so far in the first half. The one thing I feel about New Zealand, though, and why it's such a critical 2 minutes, is that I feel that their confidence might be a little bit fragile. After the first 2 game days not going the way they wanted them to go, particularly on the offensive end, you feel that if the Philippines are able to come in for these first 2-3 minutes and not just bring the game back, but potentially take their own lead, that might, you know, psychologically put a big crack in New Zealand.
1, 2, 3.
So a lot still to play for here. The winner goes to the qualifications to the semifinals here at the Fiba Women's Asia Cup 2019, and the loser goes into the 7th place game. So that just goes to show you the opportunity for Patrick Aquino's team. You know, they've seemed to have made a little bit of progress from 2 years ago, and that would confirm it if they were to be able to get to the qualification to the semifinals.
That would be absolutely huge for the Philippines. If they were to make it through to that classification game, having a chance of making it to the Final Four would be absolutely massive. You'd still say that New Zealand are heavy favourites. For me, I think the thing that's potentially going to pay as we get further into the game is that I feel that the depth of New Zealand maybe has a little bit more quality and experience than the Philippines does.
Okay, so whether they're in man or zone, this is what we do first play. Drive it to this side, regular wide.
Well, I think the saying goes, it's not the size of the dog in the fight, but the size of the heart in the dog. Is that right?
The fight in the dog, yeah.
Or the fight in the dog.
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
Well, I knew I'd mess that up.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely right. And the Philippines are
That's
pretty
what gives
much
the Philippines a chance.
Yeah, it does. It does. They're not going to go away. We talked about, you know, their psychology. Even though they're down at half-time in what is the biggest game of the Asia Cup for them, they're out on court smiling. They're having fun with each other. They seem really relaxed. And most basketball players play their best games when they're relaxed. And for for New Zealand, maybe that's the key for them as well. Take some of that pressure off their own shoulders and off their own minds and just try and relax into the game. You saw it when they started getting some momentum. The shots were dropping. They were working a lot harder on the offensive end, and everything seemed to be working. So maybe for New Zealand, the key might be just to have a little bit of confidence. They are the favourites, and they're the favourites for a reason.
Well, Natalie Purcell turning into the coach now. We'll call her Coach Purcell. It'll be Paul Vost. Cox comes back in with the 3 fouls. Purcell, Taylor, and Kritiana in the starting 5 for New Zealand. And Cox gets to Taylor in the corner, and they really are whipping it around. Kritiana, they ended up getting a good look at the 3-point shot, missed it, and they're going to get a new possession because Philippines stepped out of bounds.
And again, I don't mind this as a New Zealand tactic to run this quick passing kind of style, because it will tire the Philippines out if they're having to chase the ball the whole time.
Purcell over to Cox and see if she can get it going. It rims out. An offensive rebound for Taylor. And then a miscommunication. Kritiana cut to the basket. Cox thought she was going to be outside. Now cabin bin, and she was blocked by the rim. She had a good move, and now she's slow to get up again. And Taylor is going to take a 3. And Taylor, I mean, the only people that could stop the game here would be the referees. And Kritiana, misses a shot she probably should have made. Cox again gets another look at the 3. It goes in and out. And Kritiana saves it in bounds.
And New Zealand can't score against 4 defenders.
And now Purcell goes up, and Cabinban finally gets up and runs down the court.
She's able to run. She should have got up a little bit earlier, in my opinion. If she has the ability to run at all, she should have at least got back and stood even still on the defensive end.
Well, she looks like she's turned her ankle or something. Let's have a look. Yeah, that has to be what it was. I mean, she's not, I don't know. Can't tell. Yeah, she's looks like it's a foot injury. We can see as she bends over. But yeah, it's, I think she was maybe expecting the game to stop. You got to keep playing. Tatiana, good move, gets it in. She was able to get around Animam. So it took a while, but New Zealand finally put 2 more points on the board to go up by 9. Now Pontejos left open and shoots the air ball.
Still a smile on her face, though, and still smiles on the face of her teammates on the bench. I think they kind of come to expect that from Pontejos. The good and the bad, sometimes she brings out a piece of magic, and then other times she's off the mark.
It's Pontejos, Tonko, Animam Hayes, and Bernardino on the court for the Philippines. And Paul was fouled out on the perimeter by Pontejos. Just a light hand check. This was Tatiana able to get around the defender. Cox. And Cox turns it over, and it's going to lead to 2 points for the Philippines. And that's, again, the type of turnover. Just is making life difficult for themselves.
And exactly the same turnover as well. Cox passed to Tatiana. Just a little bit of a miscommunication between them two at the moment.
Taylor from the left corner. That's good. That's her 3rd three.
And Taylor's tried to shoot her way through this. She had a bit of a slump to start with, but it's starting to come good for her.
So she's 3 of 10 now from 3-point range. Bernardino, bounce pass over to Pontejos. And she gets it right back.
And this is exactly what Philippines have done the whole game. As hard as New Zealand have worked to get away and pull away, every time they seem to do something, the Philippines seem to have an answer.
Almost back to Tatiana. New Zealand more than content to keep passing it around on the perimeter. And Purcell forces her way in there, gets the foul called on Animam. Is going to leave the game, and Miranda is going to come back in, and it's difficult to know what we're going to get from Miranda in this tournament.
Yeah, it is. She's been inconsistent, to say the least. She's 7 points a day, though. It seems to be that game day 1 version of Miranda has come back for game day 3. Maybe she only plays odd numbers. Maybe that's her thing. Game day 1, 3, and 5 she'll play. But yeah, yesterday she was silent. It really was strange to see her disappear.
Kalani misses the first, so it makes the second. New Zealand go up by 8. And now the turnover. Cox, 2-on-1 break. She needs to give it up. She does to Taylor, who lays it up and in. And now you would expect New Zealand to try to go for the jugular as they start to pick up the defense. Good pass, good reaction from Paul Vost.
And you see straight away New Zealand have a couple of plays go their way, particularly on the defensive end, and you just see their energy levels rise and their intensity rise.
Well, I don't think Animam is a threat from deep. And now her pass intercepted by Taylor. It triggers another break for Cox. And she's going to go right at Bernardino, and Bernardino gets another block. Well, she's deceptive, isn't she, on that defensive end?
Well, she has very good timing on the defensive end, and Cox isn't having the best of days today.
Bernardino, nice drive, and Hayes misses it from deep. And Cox comes up with it again. And her pass almost intercepted, but Taylor open.
New Zealand now about to bring Boagni back into the game. We'll be interested to see how that changes things offensively for them.
And good defense from Purcell. I tell you, she's a tough old player on the defensive end, and nobody, you can see none of these players like going up against her because she plays a physical game. And that was Bernardino's block of Cox.
Yeah, great timing. But yeah, Purcell plays just that tough-nosed, you know, battling kind of bulldog kind of basketball where she just doesn't give up on anything. She's going to be in your face the whole time. And like you say, as an opponent to her, quietly you really respect her and you wish she was on your team, but facing her is just a nightmare because you get no seconds, you get no time off from her constantly haranguing you.
17-7 bench points in favor of New Zealand, and Boagni comes in. They try to go right back to her. She fumbled the pass. There she is at the high post, gets it to Purcell. Now Taylor open, and that was a little short.
Yeah, she's 3 from 12 now. Slightly gone cold for Taylor from outside.
Miranda. And Miranda fouled by Taylor.
And New Zealand just struggling to get that kind of decisive lead. Every time they do, the Philippines continue positive, direct kind of offense like that from Miranda. Just go to the basket, draw a foul. And yeah, New Zealand seem to be stuck at this kind of 10-point lead gap. They don't seem to be able to blow this game open, and that's what they would have wanted to do early in this third. They would have wanted to try and seal the game as early as they could, but Philippines refused to go away.
So Taylor getting some instructions from Malloy. Miranda off target from the line. Good work from Taylor, though. I mean, I think what I like most about her game is her hustle. She's really good, especially on the defensive end.
Yeah, for me, that's more what Taylor brings to the game. Although she scored 11 points today, it's that hustle and the defensive tenacity that she brings.
And she's not going to be in the starting lineup if she's not bringing that, that's for sure. Nobody's going to get minutes if they don't play in the defensive end. Here's a reach and a foul by Cabin Ben. Seems to be okay now. Yeah, that's a foul.
Yeah, not the left hand, it's the right one as she's trying to scoop the arm away. Foul last.
Castillo also in for the Philippines, number 0. Leisure Walker drives all the way.
Wonderful play, really great, that high post and getting the ball and just a quick pivot and slide to the basket.
And Big Chan comes in, and Purcell gets the rebound. Biggest lead of the day now for New Zealand, up 11. Cox at the stripe. Good. Whoa. I thought they boxed out pretty well there, the Philippines. Not sure what that call is for, but New Zealand will keep it. See Cox taking that. Anyway, this was the previous play.
Yeah, just great footwork there from Leisure Walker. Just pivoted perfectly, and the lane opened up for her because of it.
Leisure Walker will be, looking at her college options to the States. And where her older sister Crystal is. She's transferred to, is it Washington State from Northern Colorado?
And you're more the clued up encyclopedia of college basketball than I am, but for Leisure Walker, she's a real bright spark. She's the youngest ever player to play senior basketball for New Zealand Ferns, just 16 years and 202 days old when she got her first cap, so a huge amount of time ahead of her, and I imagine we're going to see her at an awful lot of these tournaments.
And shot shot is good, the three-pointer, and it's just like you say, they just will not go away. Okay, she's going to play for the Cougars, Washington State, so good luck to her. I think she's got to sit out this year as a transfer. Here's Leisure Walker, misses everything, but it falls to Farnworth, who misses the reverse layup. Those are the toughest ones to rebound for the defense when the ball doesn't hit anything. Just fell right into the hands. And this was their three-pointer from Castillo. Boagni misses. Farnworth with a rebound. There's Walker.
Nice little two-man game there with Boagni as well. And you just feel if New Zealand can get to that 15, 16-point lead, potentially that might break the spirits a little bit of the Philippines. But at the moment, the Philippines just seem to have an answer on the offensive end for everything New Zealand throw at them.
Cabin Ben, oh, good move, Cabin Ben, but then doesn't make the shot, and Purcell holds off Jose. Leisure Walker, open floor, no look pass. Farnworth gives it back to her, and well, they've called an offensive foul. Is it on Farnworth or Leisure Walker?
I think that's on Leisure Walker, and I think that's a really tough call, if I'm honest with you. Once she's inside, there's no way that's an offensive foul.
She's just getting ready. I mean, we talked about that before with her, how she is looking for the contact.
She is. She absolutely is. But the defender's standing sideways and still moving towards her sideways. Yeah, tough call for Leisure Walker.
New Zealand up 12. And let's go down to hear Coach Aquino.
Anong gagawin natin? Show, di ba? O, nasa show natin. Hindi mo pwedeng hindi show ka dyan. Okay? Okay lang sila, okay lang tayo mag-show. Pag nag-slide siya, meron pa tayong tao dito. Pero nawawala kayo. Tiwala kayo sa ginagawa natin.
Oh, we're going to hear him. But anyway, the Filipinos still kind of teetering now. You know, they're not out of it. Down 12. Get a couple of stops, hit a couple of shots. But they got to take care of business. They can't allow those second and third opportunities for New Zealand. When they get a stop, they need to get the rebound.
Yeah, they do. 21 offensive rebounds for New Zealand now. They've got more offensive rebounds than they do defensive rebounds. And there's no way the Philippines are going to come away with a win if they continue to let that stat. A 1-3-1 defense for New Zealand. They ran this yesterday and it got broken really quickly. Can the Philippines do it? No, they force a turnover straight away. Farnworth with some good defense, so maybe it is going to work today.
Well, not what you need for the Philippines to come out of a timeout and to turn it over immediately. That's the kind of play that gives your coach some more gray hair.
But I like the play from Malloy to go into a 1-3-1 to put them off what they would have drawn up in the timeout.
That was a good look from Farm. And I don't know, is she saying I should have taken the shot, or is she saying I should have thrown it up to the rim?
I think she's saying I was in the act of shooting or something, trying to say, you know, we want to trip to the line, we don't want it to be sideline.
Oh, I see, sorry. Well,
just appealing to the referees.
Well, anyway, they're at the line because Philippines are over the limit. So it's Boagni. Really, you have to tip your hat to Boagni today. She really changed things in that first half.
Yeah, she certainly had her best game of the tournament. She saved it for the most important game of the tournament so far for New Zealand, so good timing from her.
The biggest lead of the game, 14 points for the Tall Ferns. Now Cox gets it to Leisure Walker. Gets the cutter, beautiful passing. Farnworth passes up the three and kind of dribbles into a trap, but is able to get it out. And Purcell misses from deep.
Yeah, 0 from 5 for Purcell from outside. It's, you know, you can tell by the way she's shooting, it's not what she wants to be shooting, but she also knows she's in a team. If you receive the ball on the perimeter and you're open, you take the shot.
versatility makes her indispensable for this team. Look at her out here on the perimeter playing defense. She can also go down low and guard the bigs, but Miranda floats in and scores. Gets you back to a 12-point deficit. Purcell didn't want to shoot that one. Nice pass was thrown behind Farnworth. And again, if Castillo makes this, and she does! Here come the Philippines, only down 9.
They refuse to go away. They will not surrender at all. They're in the battle for 40 minutes.
Cox for 3 and gets it right back. Oh, that is brutal for the Philippines.
Yeah, that's a massive shot from Cox. Absolutely huge. She'd only had 2 points up to that point in the game. 3 personal fouls. It hadn't been going her way, but that shows exactly what veteran players are in the team for.
Oh, nice wraparound pass. Oh, and Jose has got to make that shot. The final 10 seconds here in the third quarter. New Zealand, they've led by as many as 14. Right now, it's a 12-point advantage. Cox steps back. That's a little bit too long. So at the end of 3 quarters, still a lot of basketball to be played. But New Zealand on top, 58-46.
Yeah, and here your shooting stats for the game, and you can see both teams having their best game of the tournament, but New Zealand still not shooting well from outside, only 22%, and my goodness me, they've put up enough shots, 32 outside shots from them, but New Zealand will be relatively happy with that third quarter. They outscored the Philippines 19-14, but the issue is always going to be that the Philippines just refuse to go away. They will not lie down and accept what the form book says. They're going to try and cause the upset here, and every time New Zealand have almost a chance to break away, Philippines seem to find another gear or another option on the offensive end to drag them back in. Boagni, absolutely key for New Zealand, 15 points to a name, 3 from 7 from the field, 1 from 1 from outside. And for the Philippines, 2 players in double digits, Miranda on 10, and then Pontejos, 13 points. She's filling up the stat board a little bit as well, 6 rebounds, an assist and a steal to a name as well. But 10 minutes to go in this make and break game, and for me, New Zealand are obviously massively in the driving seat, but you just don't have that confidence at the moment that they're going to seal this one out. And the Philippines' mentality is that they seem to be, you know, they don't seem to know when the game is over. They're going to keep battling.
Yeah, absolutely spot on what you say. I mean, it's, you know, if New Zealand get the execution, they could put this thing away. But they make just enough mistakes that kind of leaves the door open. But Kalani Purcell, look at that. It's not about the scoring for Kalani. It's about everything else that she does. And, you know, double digits in rebounds today is where she's really making a huge difference. But she's absolute pest on defense for whoever she's guarding.
And I love the fact that they've put her at the top of a 1-3-1. Most coaches will put their quick guard on the top of a 1-3-1 to be a pest. But they've put someone that's got a little bit more wingspan, a little bit more, you know, nous about them.
Bernardino pulls up with that. Did a great job getting a good look. Animam gets the rebound and couldn't put up a decent shot. Now Cox. Paul Furness, what will they run? More of the same? Beautiful play, and Leisure Walker starting to show the quality that has made her such a highly rated player.
Yeah, really smart play along the baseline, just sneaking alongside in the reverse layup. Means it's really tough to block for the Philippines.
Pontejos hands it off Now Hayes for 3. Now can New Zealand stretch their biggest lead of 14 points? And maybe that was good attempt here. This was the previous trip where Leisure Walker scored with a reverse layup. And again, a little miscommunication leads to a turnover and a layup for Philippines.
And you just feel whenever New Zealand have this chance to kind of break away, try and seal this game out, they seem to almost self-destruct. It's not necessarily anything the Philippines are overly doing. It's more that New Zealand's concentration lapses or nerves get involved.
Well, I think it's honestly more to do with, well, ball goes back over to the Philippines. I think it's more, talking to Guy Malloy yesterday, he needs more time with his players. They've got to be on the same page because he is constantly, you can see, telling him where to make their cuts, where to make their passes. And if you're only getting together every so often, it's not going to happen automatically. And New Zealand lucky that Bernardino didn't finish. Now Edmondson on the wing, cuts it back to the middle. Made a good move, but didn't make the shot.
And it seems strange that New Zealand fall within that situation because most of their players play in the Australian League.
Yeah.
So you'd think they'd be able to arrange some kind of team camps.
Good pass, good play, and then Pontejos fouls Cox from behind.
And I completely agree, and this is why the new kind of international windows introduction for the Men's World Cup, I think, is a great addition because it is going to enable these teams, international teams, to start developing the concept of a team rather than just a group of talented individuals coming together.
Farnworth goes out. She's one of the boomers that will play for Guy Malloy, as is Kalani Purcell and Stella Beck and Panita Davidson. So he'll have 4 of them. Cox makes her free throws. Cox, of course, up at Townsville. Bernardino drives and a foul called. Now she looks to be a bit hurt.
Yeah, she's on the floor again. We've seen quite a bit of the Filipino players on the floor. Kabinbin's been down twice for long periods. Here?
Oh, yeah, no doubt. It was an awkward landing for her.
Yeah. Actually overstretched her groin. And thankfully, she's back at the line for the Philippines, though.
Yeah. This is the first. Got no complaints about Bernardino. I think she's been outstanding in this tournament. You can see she's a little bit shaken up.
She's probably been the most consistent player for the Philippines as well. She had 15 points in the first game, 10 points in game day 2 against China. And now she's up to 7 points here today. So she seems to be the most consistent offensive threat for the Philippines.
Yeah, and I think that's where the Philippines suffer is, Miranda has it within herself to come out and make those plays. Look at Bernardino almost coming up with a steal. But this Bernardino needs some help.
Yeah, I think so as well, and I think the same can be said probably of Pontejos as well, that she could potentially, contribute more, and it's all about consistency and predictability. That's what you want. You want to know which players are going to step up each game.
And so Critiana passes it out to Cox. Shot clock about to expire. Cox goes up and makes the shot. So 15 points now, the advantage for the Tall Ferns. Double dribble on Kabinbin.
Yeah, and this is the chance for New Zealand now. Realistically, if they can just put the pedal down a little bit for the next 2 minutes, burn some of the last bits of energy that they've got, I think they could potentially close this game out.
Look at Leisure Walker posting up. Took a little bump there. Now, a must make. Will it be Bernardino? She passes that up, gets inside, almost gets it to drop. Such a fun player to watch, Bernardino.
Yeah, she's always trying to be involved on the offensive end. That's the thing that's really exciting. She's not going to be passive on the offensive end, and that's the key. If you've got these underdog teams, what you find is a lot of the, particularly the inexperienced players, kind of step back a little bit too much and don't assert themselves on the game because, you know, they don't have that experience. Whereas Bernardino, you know, she's only 23, but she still has that confidence that she knows she needs to be involved. The ball has to be in her hands if her team are going to do good things offensively.
Misses that second free throw, so it's back to a 14-point game. Good hands from Pontejos, but the ball landed to Cristiana, and Cox gets it. And again, Bernardino, outlet pass to Cabanban, and Pontejos catches it. Decides not to challenge the defense. Philippines almost had a layup opportunity. Animam travels. Yeah, that's the right. It looks, or excuse me, not Animam, Hayes. Malloy wants to talk things over again with his team. The funny thing about tournament play is, you know, you do get those moments to play, and you know, you find a rhythm, and so you wonder, you know, if Malloy thinks his team is getting better as the tournament goes along. It's, you start off with China, and then you go up against Australia, and now here you are against the Philippines. But let's
then we get the so let's keep that
try to
really
listen
simple, and then we can look at the high-low on the first pick and roll. So the guard should still be trying to get into the elbow, big guy roll, that'll be open there. We get our finishers inside. Again, we can be more patient. We're catching the ball off balance and shooting the ball. Shot fake it once, twice. You know, we're stronger than what they are. They're just jumping at our first one and not fouling it.
Extra pressure on ball hand. Oh, no, don't go back. Making them pressure.
okay, well, we have him for a minute there.
For me, one of the players that's been so critical to New Zealand getting this lead has been Ledger Walker. She's come out and she's playing so far above her years. It's untrue at the moment, and you see her there. She's going to be such an integral part of what New Zealand do going forward for years to come. And like you say, you just hope she has a really good college experience and that she comes back even further developed than she is already. And she seems to be a pretty well-rounded player for her age.
Well, if you consider that Natalie Taylor's playing at 36 years of age,
absolutely,
she's right at the start of a long career.
You know, this could, yeah. How many Asia Cups could she have played in by the time she retires? It could be, she could be a record breaker, really.
Asia Cups, and obviously New Zealand have even bigger aims to get to the World Cup, to get to the Olympics. Raitiana gets it out to Palvost, and too deep, but the ball hit back to Cox. She did not hit the rim, so they had the shot clock winding down. The Philippines steal the ball back, and once again make it a 12-point game.
It almost seems today, every time the coach calls a timeout, it's the other team that profit from it.
Valuable seconds ticking off the clock here. New Zealand milking it down. Now they need to get going. Cox over to Palvost, hand in the face, and she is fouled by Bernardino.
Yeah, she got a line for three. That's absolutely criminal for Bernardino. As much good that she's done for the Philippines, that's a killer of a defensive play from her. So it's Palvost's first trip to the line at the Asia Cup, so we're still to see. You know, in the last incarnation of the tournament, she was a high 80s shooter, so you'd expect her to hit 2, if not 3 of these.
So Bernardino looks on as Palvost makes the first and misses the second. And gets 2 out of 3, so that takes it back to 14 points, the advantage. Still time for the Philippines if they can get some execution here. Get stops. Cabinbin over to Hayes. It's on line, but too long. And Boagni has it knocked out of her hands, but New Zealand will maintain possession. Taylor from deep and knocks in another one.
4 from 13 for Taylor now. She's, you know, hit quite a few shots from outside, but she's taken quite a few as well. So that's a big shot, extending up to 17 points. Is it a step too far for the Philippines now to come back into it? Bernardino will keep going to the single last possession of the game. She just does not give up.
Pass to Taylor. And her pass batted by Bernardino. And it leads to another Philippines layup, but Cabinbin misses. Cabinbin has struggled to finish plays today. Monteos and Cabinbin were going to go out, and Tonko and Daz are coming in. Also Miranda coming in for Hayes. And with the 17-point lead for New Zealand, it looks like it's going to be too big of a mountain to climb now for the Philippines. Have they made progress in the last 2 years? Well, I would say so. But you know, you just got to keep working at it.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, they don't have the same stature in their home countries. The men's team does. I know that's one of the things they're fighting for massively at the moment, getting more media attention, you know, more structure to their professional league, and that's only going to pay dividends. And their performances here have warranted more investment and more support back home, and hopefully the Philippines will see that.
Taylor gets it in, and now the steal, and Purcell puts it up. So bad mistake by Miranda. So 19 points. Miranda stepped out of bounds, so it'll be New Zealand ball.
Yeah, you feel that this is New Zealand just locking the game out now, and they've not been convincing, but they've certainly been better than they have been in the previous 2 games that we've had here at the Asia Cup. And you know, their eyes will start looking forward now as they'll look to play whoever finishes second in Group A. So it's either going to be Japan or Korea in that qualification for the semi-final spots now. And if they can then again take another step up, then who knows? Potentially they could see themselves in a Final 4 spot. And you know, once you get to that one and done situation, it's really anyone's game.
Good awareness, KP. Nice steal. That basket was big for us.
As for the Philippines, the pressure goes slightly the other way now. They're going to go to that relegation battle. That's either going to be Chinese Taipei or India that they face, you know, in that relegation battle. And what a huge game, you know, for all of those clubs. Whoever ends up in that, the last thing they wanted when they entered this Asia Cup was to be relegated back down. Well, relegated to Division B. You know, fighting for that game could be one of the toughest games we see in this tournament.
Yeah, I think all bets are off in that game. I would suggest on the evidence that Philippines would be the favorites to win. Of course, India still have another game to play. Don't want to write off their chances. Natalie Taylor with 14 points, 3 rebounds, 2 assists, and you know, it's not just about the scoring for her as well, but it's about the defense as we continue to harp on. But she does have those 4 3-pointers. And there's, I think that's little Charlie. So Charlie will be in Natalie's arms before you know it. Another foul call on Bernardino. Delabek has come back into the contest.
Yeah, just a poor pass from Boagni there, way too low as Palvas was coming towards her. She needed a higher pass, because ideally I think she wanted to collect and maybe make a move towards the basket.
Good defense from Boagni. Saves it in bounds to her sister. Nope, it's going to be Purcell that gets on the ground. And then it's Beck that gets tied up and hands it off to Leisure Walker. And Bernardino slow to get up. Boagni fouled down low.
Yeah, Castillo there really left with no option but to foul. Castillo just standing at 162 tall and Boagni at 188. It's not exactly a fair fight.
Tonko goes out of the game.
Ready?
Excuse me, Castillo. Is it... So Cabinben, Bernardino, Anamon, Castillo in the game, and also Pontejos is back in. Gets into the lane, gets it over to Castillo. Another three-pointer for her. And now the inbounds pass. Good defense by the Philippines, getting the steal.
Is 17 points enough? That's what I'm thinking now.
Cabinben launches it. New Zealand get it. Castillo comes up and called for the foul on Leisure Walker.
Send Leisure Walker to the line for two, and Castillo picks up a quick second foul as well. And yeah, the Philippines now will start focusing on that big game tomorrow. They'll be first up tomorrow.
I don't think they get enough out of Castillo. I think they should be looking to her more often on the offensive end, because she's got a nice stroke. Just 22 years of age, from De La Salle University.
Yeah, she is. You know, 3 from 3 from the outside today, 9 points. She's only played 10 minutes of the game, so it seems strange that she's not getting a bigger chunk of the rotation.
Yeah, she came into this game, well, I say that she's been hitting some threes. She came in shooting 25% from deep, so.
Yeah, 6.5 points a game, though, and, you know, off limited minutes, she seems to be quite way down the pecking order for one of those backcourt positions. And understandable, really, when you've got the likes of Bernardino and Cabinben and Pontejos that sit above her. But if someone's come in and shot 3 from 3, kind of demands maybe more minutes in tomorrow's game for her.
We're wasting time. Okay? And then again, pipikan tayo ni Ja. Tapos, screen dun tayo, screen.
To the shooting percentages for both teams.
And then one more right here. Para kay Kate or kay Zeni. Either of the two, huh?
The big question for New Zealand will be what kind of performance are they going to put up against either Korea or Japan. You know, I would envision that game being against Korea, but
yeah, I think the form book says it's going to be against Korea, but I wouldn't put anything against the Koreans, maybe causing the upset.
Against Japan.
Yeah, potentially.
Later today.
Yeah, potentially. We've got a great slate of games today. There's not one that isn't, you know, likely to be really competitive.
Yeah, I saw you bouncing out of the hotel, running across the busy road.
Do you know what I actually gave up today? I stood there for 5 minutes and couldn't find a spot. I didn't have Jeff to hold my hand. I need you to be my lollipop man and get me across the road these days.
Just follow me next time. Just wait. I'm just not out the door as quickly as you. I need some more time. Old age. 5-second call. Great defense by New Zealand, but again, coming out of a timeout, not what you expect.
No, not at all. Not at all what the Philippines would have wanted.
Zealand closing in on their first victory at this FIBA Women's Asia Cup. And good pass down low. Stella Beck fouled.
Yeah, wonderful hesitation from Beck there. She literally just the slightest feint of almost shoulders lifting as if she was going to go for the shot and drawing Bernardino up into the air.
One thing I would say about the majority of these New Zealand players, one area where they could really help themselves, how do I put it? Maybe they have to get in the weight room a little bit and get a little bit more upper body strength, because that was one area against Australia you could see clearly the Australians, when they were catching the ball down low, they were going up powerful, and it was they were either going to make the shot or miss it. With New Zealand, when they get it down there, you know, it's.
I think the other thing that I have with regards to New Zealand, they have a very similar roster, if that makes sense. You know, you look at other rosters and they have a dynamic guy, that wants to drive to the basket.
They just have a bunch of versatile players.
Yeah, they don't have someone that's, you know, a slasher to the basket or an absolute dead-eye spot-up shooter, or, you know, you're a jack of all trades, a master of none, and that can get you a long, long way, and you need those members in the team, but sometimes it's great to have that person, you know, you can just spot up and shoot the ball, or that will do something like that.
I think, yeah, even the likes of Tessa Boagni, you know, that would be one of my things. And even Davidson, you know, get him. It's not necessarily bulking up. It's just getting stronger.
Yeah.
And realizing that when you catch it down low, you need to be catching it and going up strong and having a chance to score, even against those bigger teams. I know they've got Amy West over there on the sidelines. I'm not sure she's going to get in today. You know, she's certainly. The same comment would go to her.
Yeah.
You know, work on your game, but maybe be strong when you get out of St. Mary's.
Yeah, and it's the defensive end as well. You know, if you have that strength, both lower body and upper body, it makes playing post defense so much easier. And it's and not only does it make it easier, it puts doubt in your opposition's minds whether they can back you down or not. You know, we saw it yesterday, not necessarily in today's game against Philippines, but yesterday's game. The Australians, you saw, they felt that they had that physical advantage.
Nice drive penetration, and I think what this will also do for New Zealand is it will get them to the pre-qualifying tournament for the Olympic qualifying tournament. So that'll be.
Yeah,
so this is a win in that sense. They know at least they're going to the pre-qualifiers, and you talk about getting a chance to play and being together in continuity. This will be another opportunity for them, and obviously
it's the Olympic dream.
And I don't know who will be available for that. I'm not sure what Leisure Walker's situation is, if she's going back or if she look to go to college next year.
I find it hard to believe that anyone doesn't make themselves available. I don't know any professional basketball player that just wouldn't, you know, outside of potentially the American team, that wouldn't crawl over broken glass.
If they're in the middle of the college season.
Yeah, potentially, but at that stage she might be a late joiner to training camp, but you'd hope that she gets to live that dream if she can.
Leisure Walker flies in for the rebound. Beck over to Leisure Walker. And that's probably an area of her game. I know that she can hit the three-point shot, but if she can hit it consistently in this New Zealand team, she's going to get more minutes.
Yeah, and that's the thing, and I think that's what you see a lot of players come back from college, and you question sometimes have they developed as much as maybe they could have or not, but you very rarely say they've become a worse shooter. They, you know, the access to facilities and the training staff that they have in that college system means that they'll get reps up, and ultimately for a shooter, it's making sure you've got the right form, and then it's just reps. It's getting as many repetitions of that form under your belt as quick as you can, you know, at college, and hopefully that's what college will do for her, give her that outside shot.
I know that Stella Beck, I think, improved quite a bit when she was at St. Mary's. Here's Leisure Walker. Here's Beck. Halvost. Tell you what, the one thing about New Zealand's threes, they have had a lot that have sat on the rim and gone inside the cylinder and come out, so they're not missing them by much. Anyway, that is going to put the finishing touches. And Kalani Purcell is looked at by also her club coach. He'll be with her very shortly because the WNBL season is going to be starting soon. But they've got more games to play here, and it'll be a big one against either Korea or Japan. And the Philippines will have to go into that classification game. So they made hard work of it, certainly New Zealand, but they come out and they pull away in the end for a 75-57 victory over the Philippines. So, Kalina and Charlie will be certainly happy.
Definitely plenty to be proud of.
And the moms, sisters, everybody will be happy in that New Zealand team to know they've gotten the win that they needed to get to progress to that very important game. Here are the numbers.
Yeah, shooting stats-wise, it's a lot better performance from both teams than compared to game day one. New Zealand in particular shooting 51% from the field. Their issue still from outside though, 8 from 38, only 21% from outside. As for the Philippines, much better shooting percentages across the board for them, just not enough. Points dropping is obviously their problem. Better shooting percentage from outside for the Philippines at 40%, but they didn't really take enough shots from outside. And probably the biggest issue Philippines have got is they let New Zealand grab 25 offensive rebounds, and they lost the overall rebounding battle 55-34. As expected, the New Zealand team are definitely more physical, but that's one of the weaknesses for that Philippines team that they're going to have to address in their next game, which is, you know, doesn't come any bigger for them now.
New Zealand will be hoping Boagni comes out and makes a big impact, but they're going to have to. That'll be arguably their toughest test. I mean, I know it was hard playing against China and Australia, but coming out and playing in that qualification for the semifinal, we would anticipate that being against Korea. That is going to be a pressure game.
Oh yeah, that's the biggest game of the tournament for them. It's kind of, you imagine, well, can we actually win that one? And if we can, we're in the final four of the Asia Cup, and that surely is kind of one of the big dreams for New Zealand. Making it onto the podium would be huge, but just even making it into the semi-finals, this New Zealand roster would be a great step forward.
And that'll be tomorrow, either at 5:45 or at 8 o'clock. We don't know yet. Looking at the schedule, at least is on the FIBA.basketball/Women's Asia Cup /2019 website. Just go to FIBA.basketball and you can go to events and then Asia, and you can find the FIBA Women's Asia Cup basketball website. So, a job ultimately accomplished, mission accomplished for New Zealand. They survive, and now the question is, what state of mind are they going to be in tomorrow? I guess the good thing is they've played the early game, so that gives them a little bit of additional time to get ready for tomorrow. They'll be able to scout the opponent, and then it'll come down to, how they wake up tomorrow, what they have for breakfast, lunch, whatever, the rest. What's the mental state of mind going into that? What's the leadership going to be from Malloy, from Taylor, from Farnworth, from Cox? I mean, I think that's when the veterans really have to step up and lead.
Yeah, definitely. It's going to be really important that the experience comes through for New Zealand. Like you say, I think the 4 hours extra rest, it doesn't sound a lot, but when you've played 3 games in back-to-back-to-back days, that 4 hours is going to be an absolute godsend for New Zealand. And if anything, maybe gives them a little bit of an advantage over Korea that will pay dividends when you get down to the stretch. Once you get down to that fourth quarter, maybe not, it won't show in that first quarter, but at the back end of the game when it's going to really count, if New Zealand can stay close, that could play a part in it.
And again, we think it'll be Korea, it could be Japan, so we don't know yet. We just got to wait and see.
Yeah, it's true. And from New Zealand's point of view, you'd imagine they'd rather face Korea than Japan, but either way, you know that you're going to have a New Zealand team that are fully tuned in and ready to go, and they've taken a step up in level today. They're going to have to take a really big step up again tomorrow to keep their Asia Cup dreams alive.
Well, for the Philippines, maybe they just need to focus on the positives, and when the tournament ends, they'll have time to go back and look at where maybe they have let themselves down with execution, with turnovers, with missed shots, but maybe focus on the positive ahead of their classification game. So next, it's going to be Australia, China, then it'll be Japan, Korea, and of course, India will wrap things up tonight against the Koreans. Excuse me, it'll be India. Anyway, here's the standings, and See New Zealand getting that first win. So more basketball coming your way from Bengaluru.